Oh, Mago! Whoa! Mago, get out of here. Mago, you've done it again. Come here.
We have a dog here named Mago, and it's... we can't correct
Really
him
hard to
or say his name without just dying.
Mago.
Mago! No! Mago, stop biting. Mr. Mago.
What, like, fun, quirky stuff do we want to get into? This episode is brought to you by maybe the best tasting thing the world has ever devised. Everybody knows I kind of fancy a Reese's peanut butter cup, but to be honest...
You're right, Wimpy.
Guys,
So right. Sean wins again.
There's a reason why I am the king of Q&A Saturday.
Oh my gosh.
Mago. He's so handsome, guys. Mm-hmm. Hey, everybody. It's Sean O'Shea from The Good Dog, and it's the next...
It's Q&A Saturday number 19.
Number 19. What are we going to do about this Mago?
Mago.
Oh, Mago. You've done it again.
Let's put him away.
Hey, everybody. It's Sean from The Good Dog, and this is Q&A Saturday episode...
19.
That's the number. See that?
Oh.
Number 19. Number 19, guys.
You didn't tell them about me.
And who is this next to me but, of course, the one complaining about the harsh light, but bringing the lovely peanut butter cups to elevate the mood and the blood sugar levels. Laura Morgan, the lovely Laura Morgan. To my right. I ate all your peanut butter cups, didn't I? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I literally brought them for me.
Okay.
And you ate them all.
It was a small bag.
It was a big bag.
No, it was a small bag.
Question number 1 is from Julie Eastman on rate. Hi, Laura and Sean. I have a couple questions for you, but the first is my main inquiry. I was just wondering if dog socialization is a necessity or not. I have 3 dogs. The last 2 are e-collar and prong collar trained, and the shepherd is 12 and very well behaved and very dog friendly, so she didn't really need anything. Aside from socializing with each other, they don't hang out or play with other dogs very often. I'm not a fan of off-leash dog parks, so I never take my dog there. The 2/3 of them can be dog aggressive and snotty towards other dogs. But because of your videos and tips, they are much better than they used to be. Cool. Is socializing between my 3 enough, or should I be seeking out some sort of dog socialization class? Socialization. So many people say it's important for them to get along with other dogs, while others say it's not. Just looking for your input on the topic. And then she also says, just want to thank you again and again for all your hard work to help people train their dogs. You guys are awesome. Without you guys, I never would have been able to walk all 3 of my dogs together with ease. Yeah. I'd love to show you a pic. I'm so proud of this accomplishment, but it's not allowing me to.
Oh, well.
So email it to us. Yeah. thegooddog.la@gmail.com, and I might answer it while we're sitting here.
No, she won't. Okay, so let's jump into this. So this is a good question because this one we get a lot. I think there's a lot of information flying around about that you need to have your dog socialize for your dog to be happy, for your dog to be balanced. And while there's some dogs that really, really, really enjoy social stuff, and some dogs that are really cut out for it emotionally, behaviorally, and for those that are in that camp and have access to a safe environment, I think it's great. For the rest of the folks out there, dog parks, just like you were mentioning, Julie, dog parks and daycare centers and things like that tend to be the Wild West, tend to be places where a lot of behavior goes on that's not so appropriate, and a lot of good dogs can get into trouble and can get bullied and can develop bad habits and pick up bad stuff from other dogs and things like that. So I'm going to go against the grain that says that you need to have your dog socialized. And what I tell clients that I really firmly believe is what your dogs really need is just you. Your dogs need you and whatever your existing pack is to be solid. They need you guys to be balanced. They need to know what's expected of them. They need to know the rules. They need to know someone's in charge. They need to know how all of that part of the world functions. And they don't need to go to another dog park or another doggy daycare or anything like that to honestly, to be happy. I truly believe that. My guys, they see dogs around here that are being trained, but they're not really interacting with them. They're not, we're not doing social play dates with the dogs that are here. My dogs really, and your dog, they hang with themselves, and that's the crew, that's the pack, that's where the value and the magic state of mind and balance wise comes from your pack. And so I would say have your house in order and have everything looking and feeling great there. And then if you've got friends that have got really solid dogs that your dogs get along with, that's something you can do. But this feeling compelled to do socialization because it's a missing piece in your dog's life or it's a missing piece to helping them be balanced, I disagree with that. There's definitely positive aspects to doing supervised, controlled socialization with expert people running the show that can provide some nice results for dogs in certain contexts for certain things. But this notion that dogs have to all hear the phone, it's calling you, it's beckoning, but the notion that dogs have to have socialization to be happy and balanced, I just don't see it. My dogs are very happy, and they don't go out and do that. So now Laura's dog, Hercules, he goes to the park, and Herc is
not the dog park, but a park that a lot of people bring their dogs off leash.
Yeah. And Herc's really great with other dogs, and he's pretty bulletproof with all that. And then Laura picks dogs accordingly that I think you feel that he's safe to interact with, that you've probably seen at the park before.
Yeah, I've seen him at the park. I've seen him off leash. If their owners seem like from afar like normal, sane people, if their dog's off leash, typically in our area at least, it means that the dog's probably pretty safe. And I do. It's embarrassing, but I do that typical thing, like if Herc starts to run up to another dog, and I have him on e-collar so I could always get him out of there, but if he starts to run up, I ask them, like, is your dog friendly? They probably write about me on forums, like, oh, this annoying owner with her bull-headed pit bull came running up to me. Is your dog friendly?
Well, you say it before he, bulldozes them, right?
Of course, yeah.
So
and like I said, he's on e-collar, so it's all, that's one thing. If you do feel like you have a dog that, plays well with other dogs, my other dog, Polar Bear, was the same, I would actually take him to the dog park and have him on e-collar, and then, he could play with dogs, and if I felt like it was a situation, I'd just be watching him like a hawk. If I felt like it wasn't a good situation, I'd just call him out of there and correct him if he didn't listen. So.
But bulletproof dogs are the magic pieces of this, right? So Julie's talking about having 2 of her 3 dogs being snotty and not completely predictable. So
don't worry about it.
Jeez Louise. So those aren't dogs that I would say are good candidates for any situation that's not really controlled, where you don't know all of the other dogs involved in the situation. So the answer is no, you don't need the socialization for your dogs to be happy and to be balanced. It can be a nice bonus thing if you've got the right magic dog that is really cool and bulletproof in those situations, and you've got the right magic environment that's pretty bulletproof where it's going to be safe. So that's the long and short of it. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying you don't have to do it. Yeah. Your dogs don't need it. They need you. But if you can find a special situation that you feel really safe with, then you can indulge yourself if it works for your dogs.
Yeah. Question 2 is from Heather Sears. Hey guys.
It's not of the Sears.
We heard.
Yeah, it was bad news. We're still going to answer your question, even though you're not affiliated.
We're probably going to answer your question with mild interest, though, because I still need a dishwasher.
We'll see what we can conjure up. We'll see if we can give you some A game, even though we know there's no appliance in it for us.
Hi guys. First off, my mini educator comes on Friday.
Yay.
Yay. I'm so excited to start the new transition between me and my pup. I have a simple question. When the dog is in a down or place, do you correct for turning around? She seems to always have her eyes on me. She doesn't actually break the position, but flips in whatever direction I move. Thanks, and I can't wait till the e-collar DVD comes out. And by the way, Laura, we are getting a GSD pup at the end of the summer.
Oh.
And I feel very confident because of you guys. Really, you have changed our lives.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's really awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
GSD pup, you all right? Okay. We're going to get through this. Okay, Heather, not of the Sears family. So this is a good question. These are the kind of questions I think that stymie a lot of people. The nuance of this stuff about what should and shouldn't be addressed. So I like this one. Are you about to play some?
No.
It's hard to focus around here, guys.
We've had a long day.
Yeah, we have had a long day. But so getting back to your question, so if your dog's in place and down, and basically the way I feel about this is I'm reading the flavor, reading the intent. So if a dog's in place or down, and especially place, and the dog shifts around to get comfortable and moves a little bit, I really don't care about that. What's the flavor? What's the intent? Is the dog, like you're saying, following you every time you move to turn, flop around and see what's going on? That's a problem. That's not a dog who's like comfortably resting in place and locked in a position. That's a dog that's marginally locked down and is still following you in the environment, whatever's cooking in the environment. So I'd say if you get some settling, like let's put it this way: if you get a dog who's settling to get comfortable, we're cool with that. But if your dog is actively like pursuing targets visually and that's causing him to reorient his body, I'd say that that's not what you're looking for. So I would correct that stuff and start looking for a more glued, stationary kind of place. We're not trying to be militant about it, but what I always teach is look for the attitude, right? So is your dad is your dad pushing boundaries? Is your dog pushing boundaries in other situations? Typically dogs that do stuff like this, they're pushing boundaries in other little spots. And so when I see things like that, those are little pieces of my clues that tell me how much I want to address other moments. So dogs that push boundaries in other contexts, I'm usually more firm about the rules about what I'm looking for in other places, like place. And even without that prior information, if your dog's flipping around a lot, I would be correcting it anyways and say like place and down means like, place has got more freedom than a downstay. Obviously, you can do a little more movement on there, but either one, I think you know the answer. I think you know that your dog's doing a bit of flopping around. So let's address it.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll have dogs like watching us, all that, but that's typically at the start. Like in the first, do you know what I'm saying? Like in the beginning kind of stages, and they're still learning the command. They're like, okay, what's going on here? Why are you walking around me and all that? But if you have a dog that's been doing this for a long time, that's typically some nervous stuff going on. So just teaching them that they're cool, they don't need to keep eyes on you all the time. You can practice a lot of like moving around. Like Sean just did a clip of me with this boxer out on a walk. Potato the boxer. Just doing like some walk arounds, and it was hard for him at first, but today I was doing stuff and he was like totally fine. So just, like practice in those moments, and that's just going to build her confidence. So
yeah, I like it.
Cool.
Lock that sucker down.
2 questions down with no phone.
Oh.
Okay.
We might lose her, guys. She's Malinois shopping, so any
I'm
news?
shepherd shopping, but Malinois sometimes gets in there.
I think you're Malinois shopping.
Well, it's turned into that, but I'm telling you guys, I may get my GSD this year.
I think you're going to get a Malinois.
Just saying.
All I know is she's showing me videos over and over again of little cute Malinois.
No, not little cute Malinois. That was a 3-year-old Malinois.
Yeah, but she's little and cute. She's not like some ferocious, lady. She's a cutie.
She's cute. All right.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm a little distracted. So, question number 3. This is from Amanda Burke. Hello, I have a rescue Amstaff who's about 1.5 to 2 years old. He has a few different issues, but one of the hardest to break is his need to kill the vacuum or anything else you use on the ground. Brooms, Swiffers, mops, rakes, shovels.
Oh, dear.
I have to put him in his crate to get any cleaning done, and I can't do yard work or a shovel with him outside. Oh, well. No cleaning or yard work then.
You're off the hook.
Sounds perfect. He literally loses his mind when he hears or sees you move the vacuum. also another reason just not to vacuum. Just get your significant other or
honey, I was going to vacuum, but the dog
he's going after
again.
it. It's a pit bull too.
Became dangerous, volatile.
He literally loses his mind when he sees you move the vacuum. Okay. Also, if you try to touch his collar in this state of high alert, he will snap back. Any tips would be amazing and helpful.
Ooh. Yeah. So that's a little serious. So we're having fun here, but that's a little bit of a serious one.
Yeah, I forgot about the snapping part.
Yeah, the old snapback. Okay, so I wrote a few notes for you, Amanda, because I wanted to make sure I covered some good stuff. So, I'd let's see. She doesn't really cover if she's done any training prior with him or anything like that.
But collar, so she tries to grab his collar.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so not great about the trying to grab the collar thing, but I would go with leash and prong in the house. A real simple fix for this stuff is going with leash and prong, so you've got a tool on your dog so you can correct and address him, right? You need to teach your dog place. At the very least, you should be doing heel, sit, down, place, thresholds. You should be doing all that stuff, but at least do place and down. Give me a heel too. Just give me that, but at least place and down. And then you need to start working this foundation of getting your dog used to just hanging out in place and down for long periods of time, no matter what's going on around him. So don't start with complicated stuff. Don't start with vacuums and other floor operated appliances or anything like that. Just get him to be in place and get him used to the fact that you're going to cultivate this exercise, and you're going to design and administer the rules and boundaries of it. And so if he starts to move after you've started to teach him this, and he starts to move when you walk around the house or knock on the door or something like that, then you say no, you walk over calmly and give a pop on the leash and prong collar and put your dog back in place or down, whichever he was in. So first thing you need to do is get this foundation work going, because I never, ever, ever try and go after, like, if you would bring your dog over to me and go, Sean, he's biting the vacuum, can we fix it? That's not how I roll. So not that I maybe couldn't do it in one session, but it's going to be hard on the dog. It's going to be high pressure, and it's going to be hard on the dog, and it'll be hard on you, and it's hard on me. It's the harder way to work. So do this foundation work. Knock it out for, a week or two, and really get your dog's mind in a more respectful, calm, because the arousal piece of this puzzle is a big part of your issue. So your dog obviously has impulse control issues going on. So place command down, get it rock solid, start proofing it with distractions, like I said, walking around the house, knocking on the door, jingling your keys, opening the refrigerator, getting food out, dog food, the whole deal like that. And then snoring Hercules.
It's like you slept all day.
And then, sorry guys. So after you've got that, right? So after you've got the basics, Amanda, then I want you to start with the vacuum. But I want you to start leash and prong on your dog. Do not grab a collar. Do not, she was the one that was getting the collar snapback, right? Do not grab the collar. It's the surest way to get trouble from your dog and put yourself in a precarious situation to get bitten, something like that. So start with your dog in place, and then bring the vacuum out. Don't plug it in. Don't turn it on, and do it at a distance. Just roll it around the ground, right? Now, as soon as you break that out, hopefully the foundation work you've done has already created some leverage and your dog's already in a bit of a better space. But if you break that vacuum out and you just start rolling it without it being turned on, and your dog starts to like that, as soon as you see that, no. Put the vacuum down, calmly walk over, grab the leash, pop.
Correct.
Give your dog a nice firm correction, and make sure that correction is valuable enough to get your dog to come down mentally, to break that arousal chain that he's getting into that's causing the issue. And then give him a second, let him gather himself, walk back over, grab your vacuum, and once again, at a distance, what's the dog's response like? If your correction was valuable enough, you should see your dog making some different choices even that quickly. You should see some better stuff going on. If he's still highly aroused, you probably didn't correct firmly enough, or you haven't done the foundation work strongly enough. So from there, you just keep moving it closer and closer and closer, and anytime your dog starts to lift off, don't wait till he charges the vacuum. Don't wait till he's like ready to lunge. Yeah. The split second, I'm telling you, this is so important. The split second that your dog goes from being like this to That's when no, walk over and pop. You catch it right then, and you can correct firmly, but without having to use really high pressure and have your dog get a really valuable conversation from that. And then you just keep doing it over and over again. When we have vacuum issue, dogs, things like that, we just do our regular foundation work. And by the time we've done the foundation work and really proofed it, we bring the vacuum around. I can't remember the last time a dog had a serious issue with it, withstanding all that work. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do. But you got to have a leash and prong on. You got to have a way to correct. You got to have foundation going on, and then you've got to slowly introduce the item, and then work through the process. Eventually, with you turning it on and bringing all the other stuff out that causes trouble, and desensitizing him to it, and also letting him know there's boundaries. Like, just because you don't like the vacuum, tough. That's not up to you. It's what's up to you is staying on place and minding your business. So that's the suggestion for that. Anything to add? Did I miss anything juicy?
Well, no, but I mean, like, no. Anytime you're dealing with dogs that like have the audacity to put their teeth close to you, I just feel like, and not like we use e-collars just for tough dogs. We use them for all dogs. I personally, and Sean agrees, that all dogs should just come with an e-collar because they're just awesome, leashless, like gives you leashless control no matter what. But I feel like with that sort of thing, you're dealing with a state of mind that may be stronger than what just a physical conversation with a leash and prong can do. And if your dog's strong-willed and like I said, like has the audacity to go for you like that,
or even just kind of
just mildly
or resist in that kind of way.
Yeah, it's even just a mild kind of snap. That's just a dog that I would 100% say should be on e-collar. So it's exactly all the same program that Sean was outlining, except it's done with an e-collar. So then all the corrections are done at a distance, and they're a little bit
less confrontational.
Yeah, they're less confrontational. You're less like having to pick up a leash. Because what worries me, if it is more serious, which we don't know, it could just be like him being like, Yeah. But if it is serious where he's actually trying.
She said that the only time he snapped was when she grabbed his collar, right?
Right. Yeah. So, like, safety.
And he was worked up, I think she said, as well.
It's when she tries to grab him
when he's aroused.
Up. Yeah.
Right.
But it's that thing of like safety, things that we teach trainers at T3, at Train the Trainer seminars, things like, dogs that if the leash is just on the ground with the prong collar and say he's worked up and you've said no and you go over to grab the leash and then all of a sudden you're almost face to face with the dog, you just have to be careful about all that stuff. Sure. So if you're looking at like, if you've got a more serious guy or if it's more serious than him just going like, I'm going to, get you, but he's like soft in all other ways, then that's one thing. But if you feel like there's actually maybe some danger thing going on, then I'd be really careful about like physical, leash and prong and stuff like that without a professional around.
Yeah, so that's good advice, and that really comes down to a feel thing. You didn't mention anything in your message that sounded like you were concerned about it being more serious.
Yeah, my guess is that's not the issue.
Yeah, so I kind of answered it with that under that premise.
Yeah.
But Laura brings up a good point that if you do have a more serious guy, or when you give a prong collar correction, if you get resistance and pushback, then it's time to get help, get an e-collar. If you can get somebody in to help you, it would be definitely a great idea. A balanced trainer knows what they're doing, but the e-collar will definitely take that confrontational aspect out of it, and it can typically make things a lot easier. But you might also correct once, and your dog is like,
"Oh my gosh,
sorry,
never
I didn't mean
mind."
to." So approach with caution. Be really careful. Also, just a quick tip is that after you teach him place and all that stuff. And when you set the leash down, set the leash to where it drapes away from your dog. Mm-hmm. So when you do have to go to correct, you don't have to go and like get right next to your aroused dog to do it. You can stand farther away. Yep. You can even use a longer line if you want, do like a 15, 25 foot or something like that. Yep. And that'll give you the ability to not have to get so close. Yeah. So check in, let us know, please. We'd love to hear from all you guys, how you guys are doing. And, it's an imperfect science trying to give information sight unseen with the dog, so we do our best to give you guys the best info we can, but we're always concerned with you guys' safety. We want to help you, but we also want to keep you safe. So hopefully that helps.
Cool. Okay, question 4. This is from Rebecca Reiber Hart. She said, "Thank you for all of your sharing of info. My dog has come a long way because of it. I used to feel hopeless and frustrated to tears on walks, but now we run together with minimal problems." Oh, that's great. Thank you. She's estimated to be 3.5 years. We found her homeless and have had her for 9 months. She's a small pit mix. She appears very dog aggressive. I appears because she's never been in a dog fight, and I don't know what she would actually do if loose with a dog. But she's very reactive on a leash and fenced in. We used a prong and only walk at a heel on her thresholds, etc. She's gotten much better on walks, but if you're not on top of it, she reverts quickly when hearing, but mostly seeing a dog. It's worse depending on how far away. I also wonder about socialization, how important this is. At this time, we can't afford a board and train, but we can hardly let her around other dogs. We've done training sessions around other dogs, walking back and forth, behind and front, in which she in 10 minutes or so relaxes, but when she gets nose to nose, she snarls and lunges on leash. Also, I'm just going to skim because it's a long question, but basically, she gets, her hackles raise. So she stops playing her when the hackles raise. She's overall anxious, pants, whines in the car, jumps at loud noises. But it's all improved with us correcting her. As of now, I've avoided her being around kids. She's lunged at them before, but it's never bit them, but it's scary. Adults, she's also sweet as pie, but easily excitable. So the ramble comes down to a few questions. That was her words, not mine. What's the hair raising about the hackles, and how should I address it? Should I be working towards more socialization? I haven't used a knee collar, but it's possible that I can only go so far without one because she's so high-strung and very dominant.
Man, that's a serious question. You packed a lot of stuff in that one question.
No.
All right, Rebecca Hart.
Basically, socialization, the hackles, easily excitable dog.
And hand corrections. Okay, so let's see, what do I got? I've got some notes for you. Okay, so as far as the socialization part of it, this is not to undermine the value of socialization. I just haven't seen it be effective for the stuff that you're looking for. So she's talking about leash reactivity and barrier reactivity and frustration and stuff like that. All the dogs that come here do socialization and spend time around other dogs, and I don't see the socialization. I see the socialization having other value for other things, helping dogs build confidence around other dogs and some valuable things like that. But I haven't seen it personally, and there's other trainers that might disagree with this, but I haven't seen it personally make a huge impact on dog reactivity issues. So there's a very different world between a dog who's close off leash with other dogs and a dog who's at some kind of a distance on leash around other dogs on leash. It's just a very different dynamic, and it creates a very different emotional response in the dogs. So almost every dog we get here is comfortable and cool at some point being social off leash around other dogs, but that doesn't mean that they're comfortable on leash, and the reactivity stuff just magically went away. So I think you'd probably agree. I don't think we've seen that be the magic thing. If it was, we would be doing far more stuff with that. So don't focus so much on the socialization. The hackle stuff just means that your dog is highly aroused in a fairly intense state. So your question was, do I correct the arousal? Do I correct the hackles coming up? And that's a hard one for me to say definitively, like yes, to correct the hackles or that arousal. But what I would suggest is letting that be a very clear sign to you that your dog's in a more intense peak state, and that could be a dangerous moment, or a moment where your dog's on the precipice of bad choices, or just elevated state of mind where things can get dicey. So you'll have to make the call about when you see when you see the hackles up, is it something that, okay, my dog is now, say some kids have come into the house and you've got your dog on leash, and your dog is all of a sudden doing this at the kids and the hackles are coming up, knock it off.
Yeah.
I would absolutely address that. There's other things besides the corrections that I would be doing down the line to perhaps counter condition the dog to kids to feel more comfortable around them. But the first thing is block it. In my opinion, you got to stop it first. Yeah. And then you can work on making the dog feel different about it.
More than anything, like we could go down the rabbit hole with this question because this is like a typical kind of board and trained dog that comes in.
Yeah.
But really, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that you could run into limitations for with your prong collar, because I feel like when we get these like small pit mixes that are like adrenalized and
tons of arousal
stuff, tons of stuff going on with other dogs and maybe kids, even though they're probably not, maybe not you or the dogs that come in, they're not human aggressive or kid aggressive, but they're just so worked up that they could possibly make a mistake.
Yeah.
That's such a dog that just needs, the thing about the e-collar is that you have a much more mild conversation, despite what the world wants to tell you about an e-collar if you don't know much about them. But you can have a much more mild, low impact conversation than like a prong collar can. So you pressing the button has the same impact as anyone else that's using the e-collar, but it also tends to bring dogs down as opposed to working them up. So you get sort of a
de-escalation.
De-escalation from a correction on an e-collar. So if you're trying, if she's in general, you said she's in general anxious, nervous and all that. All I would do is literally just take our foundational program, which is duration, place command, getting her doing recalls in place, accountability, a heel, good thresholds, no silliness, and lock her down.
And knocking off anytime you see pushy, bratty, impulse control issues. That's such huge stuff. But what Laura's saying is really right on the money.
You're going to see all these things change. I wish our e-collar DVD was out right now, because this is the dog that we're kind of addressing in that. Yeah. Is the dog that could be on the precipice of causing some major harm. Not because the dog's aggressive, but because they have arousal that's not being addressed.
Yeah.
So I would say, we could talk about each of the issues here, but really more than anything, I'd love to see you, if you can't afford a board and train, we have free videos on how to teach recall, how to find a working level, how to teach place. If you can just get place, recall, and heel on the e-collar and buy an educator or go on eBay and find a used one or whatever it is, and get those 3 exercises down and then just lock your dog down for a couple months, you're going to see massive changes in all that stuff.
Yeah. So, all the dogs that come in here, 90% of them sound just like your dog.
Yeah.
And all we do is our basic foundational program. And all of that arousal stuff that's getting your dog in trouble starts to dissipate.
Yeah.
And then you see kids and the mailman, whatever it might be, doesn't trigger the dog, doesn't cause the same problem, the same reaction. Yeah. So I agree completely with what Laura said about going foundation work. If you can get into an e-collar, like what I have in my final notes right here, you were asking, is there a point where you can hit the wall with the leash and prong where you kind of can't get any further? And my notes here are that absolutely you can. That's why any dog that we have any kind of arousal or reactivity issues that are pretty intense, they go straight to e-collar. We've just seen too much experience with seeing that massively change the dog's state in a much more effective, like Laura said, de-escalating kind of fashion than a prong collar can. Yeah. Prong collars are great tools, but there's more limitations there, especially with these kind of worked up
these
pitties.
Guys. Yeah.
It's great for getting them to stop pulling on the leash, but to address the state of mind that kind of lifts off really easily, the e-collar is a much better tool. So if in a perfect world, you would forget about the socialization, you would get the e-collar going, you would get all the foundation work that Laura's talking about.
Place, just those 3, and then lock your dog down. No free time, no silliness.
Bust the butt.
Bust butt for a couple months, and then you can lighten things up.
Yeah.
So it's not about busting butt for the rest of your life. No one wants a dog like that. But locking her down for a while because she's possibly causing herself to, hurt someone and in the long run hurt herself. So you just need to lock her down boot camp time. If you can't afford it, then do it yourself. There's enough resources
that's
out
why we
there.
have so many videos. So if you don't have the time or the money, you can't get to us, you can do it all on your own. And just to reiterate before we close this one out, this, I think, is the missing component for so many trainers and owners. This arousal, this state of mind that has impulse control and arousal issues is 99% of the problem out there with dogs getting into trouble, whether it's territorial stuff or actual, aggression, biting, anything like that. Most of it just goes away when you address and get the state of mind more calm and more relaxed. So that's why we're always harping about that. So if you'll really kind of shift your gears out of the specific issues and just think broadly, more comprehensively with your approach, I think you'll find that you'll get some really great results out of your dog, and they'll probably surprise you without even really addressing them specifically.
Yeah.
Cool? Cool.
We have a little thing that I'm adding to this Q&A Saturday called the GSD Shout Out of the Week.
I like this. I like it. What's this all about?
This GSD shout out comes from, I know it's news to you, that's why I'm doing it. This GSD shout out comes from Sam Murphy. Hey Laura, my young GSD is really starting to rock and roll thanks to your continued direction via postings. Mucho gratitude.
All right.
Yes!
Yes.
GSD power. Keep going. Keep going. So if you have a GSD, we need a GSD shout out because I need my fix.
Just once a week?
I mean, it can be all week. I'll give you my personal phone number.
Yeah.
We have question number 5. This is from Jordann Brown. Hi, Sean and Laura. My question is about my 4.5-year-old Spaniel Cross Molly. She's been reactive to strange dogs both on and off leash ever since I adopted her 2 years ago. Over the past 2 years, I've been able to eliminate about 50% of her on-leash reactivity through classes and a prom.
Nice.
I recently had a chance to get her evaluated by a balanced trainer here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And
What?
Is that Ted?
Chet?
Chet?
Is that Chet?
No, Ted.
I wonder if that's Ted.
And he said she's not nervous or insecure, just a prissy brat. I'm saving
Sounds
up.
like Ted.
I'm saving up to work with this trainer on her issues, but in the meantime, I've been going through your videos. I've been using an e-collar.
Forget Ted. Just
use our videos. That would be awesome. Feel like, oh no, I don't need you. I've been using a Dogtra 280 for recall for about 6 months, and I recently started working on e-collar heel place and thresholds, as well as food protocols and duration work, all of which have been going amazing and have had positive effects on her reactivity to the point where she's 90% solid on leash around other dogs.
Holy mackerel.
Hear
Really?
that, guys? This is what we're talking about.
Wow.
My question is, what is the correct sequence for administering a correction with the e-collar when she gets snarky to other dogs passing by when out on a walk? So correct sequence. I'm already corrected at head up and wrinkled forehead and giving space, but sometimes the other dog gets too close and she escalates to snarling, growling. Thanks. You should first of all be...
Yeah, you should be awarded the Dog Training Medal of Honor. That's really, really awesome stuff. So... the fact that you're 90% improved on your own is I'm always so blown away by people out there doing that on their own and creating great results, and happy that we can be any part of it. So that's really cool. And let us know who you're working with if that happens to be Ted up in Halifax, because we're buddies. So and if it's not Ted, you can let me know too. Anyways, all right. So Jordann, what is the e-collar correction protocol? Mumbo jumbo. How do we do it? Okay, so it sounds like you got a pretty good handle on it. You said you're correcting early. I think you said you're correcting for forehead wrinkled and head coming up, something like that. So basically what I'm looking for is pretty similar stuff. I'm looking for, ears are back and all of a sudden, boop, ears are just a big tell. So as soon as the ears come up, and the forehead typically wrinkles along with the ears, but I'm mainly those are the two things I'm really watching. So ears come up, forehead wrinkles, and I correct right then. And the real trick with this stuff, and to give you a little more detail. So walking the dog's in a perfect heel, I'm sure, because you're 90% better. Dog's in a perfect heel, because if you don't have the perfect heel, you're already struggling with stuff that you don't need to be struggling with. So get that right. And you see a dog up ahead, and your dog goes from polite, sweet little do to whoom. And the second you see that, you want to correct, and you want to correct firmly enough that it changes the state of mind where the ears go from that to, and the dog relaxes a little bit. Now, you said you were using space, if I'm not mistaken, and, ooh, lordy, and it's a wild hair over there.
I just want to let it down. But it's like stuck up.
Wow, you got a whole thing going on. I've been in the wind tunnel. She was filming a Nike commercial so earlier today, so just kidding. Anyways, so you're already using space, which is awesome. Sounds like you're really taking a lot of the information and running with it. And yeah, of course, there can be times where you get stuck, where you're kind of, a dog surprises you and you don't really have anywhere to go, and you're just kind of screwed. You're kind of stuck. So what I'd suggest is everything I just suggested. But when you're in those tighter situations, I would go for higher level corrections in order to, because what's happening is the closer you get to that dog, and if you don't have any way to alleviate some of that pressure, your dog's going to feel that pressure, and it's going to lift your dog's state of mind up even higher. And then for you to have any valuable conversation that will have any valuable effect on your dog, you're going to need a higher level correction in order to take that state of mind and bring it down, right? So at a distance, your dog sees a dog. Bugs in here. At a distance, here's where your dog's mindset is. Then all of a sudden you come around a corner and there's a dog a lot closer and you don't have anywhere to go. Your dog's state of mind is here. So this one might need a correction right here. But this one, when the dog's closer, is going to need a correction right here in order to cap that and bring that state of mind down. And that stuff happens in milliseconds. You got to be so ready that the second you see, boom, you roll, you hit, right? And just pair it with a no simultaneously. Mothra in here. So that's kind of the secret. And what I wrote is my final note to you is correct earlier and correct more firmly. And it's not to be hard on the dog or unfair to the dog, but when it comes to reactivity stuff, typically, I mean, if you're doing all the right stuff with great heel and great foundation work and you're using space, then typically it comes down to catching the dog earlier and catching the dog a little more firmly to where that state of mind is just right down here in a great spot. And the second it starts to move, you cap it, boom, and bring it right back down.
Yeah.
And then you don't ever see the big stuff. And of course, when you get surprised and God drops the big surprise, dog behind door number 1 on you that you didn't see coming, you got to be ready with higher level pressure in order to mitigate that state of mind that's lifting off.
But we covered really quick that we're not doing any introductions, nothing like that, right?
No, I don't think she's looking to do anything.
No,
like
I know
that.
she's not. I'm just saying, like, if the dog's getting close enough for your dog to snap and do that, we just want to make sure there's no, like, social pressure going on, like, oh, my dog's friendly, from other people, or a flexi leash that goes out before you even know it, or anything like that. So, like, my dog's fine on the walk, but I would never let him get close enough to be, like, if I see a flexi leash, I cross the street, not because, I'm just worried about them letting it
even
go out.
Even if you don't have a dog with you, right?
Even if I have a dog. Yeah, exactly.
She's scared of that stuff.
I hate flexi. No. So that's, you just want to make sure. I figure you're not doing that, but it's just good to throw it out there in case other people are wondering that, even if your dog's good and non-reactive, we don't let our dogs get near other dogs on the walk, because you just don't know how the other dog is going to be. Yeah, because
most of the time dogs are stressed out when they're on the walks on leashes around, freshies, fresh dogs that they're not familiar with. So the one thing that we didn't add here that I would add, and you probably heard me talk about it somewhere else, is that the first thing that I'm doing before I look at my dog is, like Laura said, I'm looking at the owner down the street.
Yeah.
I'm looking way ahead of me, not in a panicky or paranoid way, but I'm scanning. And as soon as I see somebody down the street that's got a flexi, or the dog's out of control, or the dog's at the end of the leash, or the person's on the cell phone, not like Laura, then I would absolutely start to change my direction, or I might just figure out how I'm going to address that or approach that. So I always watch the other person like a hawk, and that informs a lot of how much space I'm going to need and how I'm going to approach that interaction and everything like that. But you're rocking and rolling, and I'm
so well.
Really, really proud of all the work you've done.
Yeah.
So just keep working it up, and remember, correct earlier and correct more firmly.
Yeah.
And you should see some better stuff.
Okay.
You ready? Rock and roll.
Question 6. This is from Coralie Evoquez.
Nicely done.
She asked a question before, and she must have been so happy that I pronounced her name right that she
came back from milk.
Coralie Evokes. She says, "Hey guys, me again." Hey Coralie. I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of your name. I'm just being stupid. All right. Chet, my rescue American Bulldog mix, has bitten me once on a walk as I was holding him back while he was lunging at another dog.
Chet.
Since then, I walk him only muzzled. I put him on a prong a couple weeks ago, and he's a brand new dog on walks.
Nice.
Yay. I do not use the prong indoors unless we're working on a specific command-like place, at which point he is muzzled as well, since he tends to show his teeth when I use the prong in the house, and I don't trust that he won't bite me again. As a result, I have a way to correct him around the house.
Yeah.
Should I switch to e-collar, or should I wait for him to get used to the prong in the house? Thank you so much, and keep up the good work, and thank you so much for answering my question in your last Q&A.
You got it, Coralie.
Yeah.
Okay. Coralie, you sound like a tough cookie. I mean, the dog's
Tough.
like snapping at her, and she's like, yeah, so I'm just busting moves. Okay, an American Bulldog, big dog. All right, Coralie, so I wrote a few notes for you as well. So first thing I wrote, and Laura kind of even addressed this earlier with another question, is that I'd go to e-collar.
Yeah.
So you're getting here's the challenge with prong collar stuff. We mentioned this a little bit. We touched on it a bit. But so your dog is already a little dicey with some stuff, right? So he's already taken exception to pressure, taken exception to you grabbing him, and so it just sounds like it's setting up a bit of a tough situation for you guys that can be volatile and dangerous. So I'd love for you to get away from it, because with prong collar stuff, especially interior wise, he's already a little weird with it. Say you've got him in place and he's giving you a hard time about something, and you've been smart, you got the leash and prong on, the leash is draped away from him, you say no when he commits whatever the trespass is, and you start walking towards him, but he starts to predict that you moving towards him after saying no means you're going to go grab that leash, and now you're going to give him a correction. And he's already anticipating, and he's already getting tense, and he's already getting worked up. And then you get this whole like confrontational, tension-filled thing that I'm not a big fan of with dogs like that. So if you have a dog, I mean, there's different approaches, and there's some things that I might do personally with that I would recommend differently for other people. So that said, and I'm not going to go into that, but that said, what I would recommend is you get away from the leash and prong. And leash and prong you can use on the walk, but I'd even go to e-collar on the walk as well.
Definitely e-collar and prong on the walk.
Yeah, so if you watch our e-collar heel video, you can see exactly how we do that. We set it up with the prong on top, e-collar underneath, and the flat buckle underneath that. And the prong is just for backup, but the e-collar is really your primary source for communication and interaction with your dog. And you'll see a lot less... your dog will be a lot less apt to want to redirect or bite you when you're using e-collar stuff. Prong collar, awesome tool. You guys know I like it, but that constricting sensation with certain dogs can key them up and cause them to, especially if there's any respect or relationship issues, can cause them to say, you know what, your leg looks pretty tasty right now, and I think I'm going to take a bite. So I'd get away, Hercules. Snoring Hercules. I'd get away from the prong as your sole tool of choice for the walk, even though you're already having success with it. But I'd love you to not need the muzzle eventually. I'd love you to just have a really cool, easy breezy thing. And then I'd want you to go to e-collar for sit, down, place, and recall inside the house, and teach your dog that you can bust his behind from a distance with zero confrontation, zero spatial pressure, any of that stuff that adds fuel to the fire. So your dog's in place, he goes to get up, you're sitting on the couch, no. And you correct firmly, your dog goes, whoa, wow. Coralie has got some magic powers that she can actually correct me from a distance, and it matters to me. Yeah. And yet she didn't change her attitude, she didn't lose her cool, she didn't come and confront me, she didn't do any of that stuff that typically causes me to get intense and feel pressure and weirdness. So that is absolutely the answer I'd go with. I think you'll see that the confrontational, tension-filled aspects that you guys are dealing with will dissipate tremendously. It's a little more work and it's a little more money to do, But if this is your dog and be living with you for a long time, man, it's such a worthwhile investment.
So
$180 for an educator. You could definitely use that on him, and then spend a month busting his behind to where you really get things good, and you can really change this dynamic and get rid of this whole kind of anticipatory thing where he's showing teeth. All that, that's really bad stuff. I'm not thrilled about hearing about any of that. And so use the muzzle as long as you need to feel safe. But what I'd like you to do is get away from the confrontational aspect, and I'd like you to get to a more neutral thing with the e-collar, but it still has as much power, if not more, than the prong collar, and you can adjust and address without any change or fluctuation in your physical or mental presentation to your dog, which is really valuable.
Yeah, and you know, unless you are like, I want to be a dog trainer, I've got major, passion for this, I want to figure this out, I would honestly think about finding a balanced trainer in your area for that stuff. If you have a dog that you have to muzzle on walks and you're muzzling inside the house and you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to work this out on my own, but you're not like, I'm doing this, I'm, going to learn from this, I would seriously look for some help, and you can absolutely email me or go on the IACP website and search to find a balanced trainer in your area. I'm not sure exactly where you are, but we would love to help you out with that, because this sort of stuff can be, sometimes you just need someone who works with this stuff a lot to be able to see the signs, address them, and then be able to give it back to you for you to just maintain, than you having to do the heavy lifting yourself.
Yeah, so, it's not a bad suggestion. It like you said, it depends kind of where you're at. If you are a trainer or you're working towards becoming a trainer, then sometimes we enjoy these project dogs. But you got to keep yourself safe, and you got to always know where your kind of limit is, as far as, are you kind of out of your depth, and is this going to be something that might get you in trouble, and all that. So important questions to ask yourself, and we've got a huge referral-based network of great trainers all over the country and the world. So if you need help, don't hesitate to ask us. thegooddog.la@gmail.com, and we'll get something, get a reference off to you, a referral off to you.
Okay,
cool.
So don't need to be the hero, and that goes for all of you guys. I know there's a lot of tough dogs out there. I mean, there's things that I know personally, and I worked with Sean for a long time, I know personally that I would not want to deal with on my own, that I would pay Sean to deal with, or, pay a friend to, a trainer friend to deal with. I've got lots of skills, and I've got, tons of knowledge in this stuff, but there are definitely limitations with certain dogs that I think we should all just honor.
Yeah, and there's still dogs that come in that I don't have Laura or Brittany walk, or even Tony until I feel comfortable, just because I've been doing it the longest. And it's not about ego stuff, it's just about comfort level, just experience, like anything else you've done for a long time. Before I finish that, I just also have a really cold nose that's just on the lower part of my back, and who is that? So get out of there.
It is cold.
It's really cold. I'm ready to jump out of my seat. Okay, the last thing for Coralie
the light is so bright. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, it's
not trying to be cool. No.
So definitely go to e-collar. Less confrontation, less tension. Do e-collar, heel, place, recall, down, sit, and bust his butt a lot. Underlined a lot. I might even underline it again in a second.
It's 2 words. You put it.
No, it's just because I was writing quick.
Okay.
I get that it's 2 words.
There's 2 words underlined separately. Just want to make sure that we all know that.
Talk about busting a butt, right? Very little affection. Very little affection, no couch, no bed, no lap privileges. So if this guy's got any challenging, disrespectful behavior, any showing teeth, any possibility of challenging you or possibly biting you, promise me that you are not giving this guy any bed time, any couch time, or any personal space access that he can just come in and just
treats, affection, anything. It doesn't mean like it's forever, But if this guy's getting that stuff...
Tough love.
Yeah.
Tough love time.
I did all that stuff wrong. So did Sean. So,
yeah, and it really puts you in harm's way. So you can do... Here's an important thing. This is great for everybody to hear. You can do all this cool training stuff and then do these other parts wrong and really find yourself in trouble.
Yep.
Right? So you can do all this e-collar stuff. You can do... And this is stuff we have to coach our clients with. And all the methodology and all the mechanics and all the tools and all the stuff, all the program, and then you can mess it all up with too much unearned affection, to privileges to special spots and spaces that cause your dog to feel different about you emotionally, that cause them to actually push against the training and cause more problems. So you're probably already doing the stuff right, but I just want to work my pencil more and say be really careful with the affection and furniture privileges and personal space privileges.
Right. So we have question 7. This is from... Did it get darker? No. Kasie Naplick. Hey, Sean and Laura. Thanks for all you do. Love the Q&As. I look forward to them every week.
Oh, Kasie, you're a regular viewer? Come on. That's so cool.
We really thought that like 15 people would watch these. We had no idea that people would actually like...
Remember the early ones? Remember we were in New Orleans?
Oh, yeah.
In Jackson
sitting
Square
outside,
with a big microphone. And we're like, all the people that were in Jackson, a bunch of tourists and people and locals. And we're like... So anyways, take the prong collar. And everybody's like...
What are they doing?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple quick questions about the place command.
Yeah.
My Aussie... I swear it got darker.
It's getting darker. Yeah.
Oh, hey. There it is. All right.
That's weird. What is AE?
I have no idea. Automatic exposure?
Okay, maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah. She doesn't know who Rosie the Riveter is, but automatic exposure, she's all over.
My Aussie, Noah, knows the place command, but is not as solid as I would like, so I'm retraining him with a mini educator. First question, when I give the command, do I use continuous pressure until all 4 feet are on the place, or only until he starts heading towards it and seems committed? Second question, this is a quick one. He has a tendency to rest his front paws on the edge of the bed. It's a raised pet cot, and lean forward like he's waiting for me to release him rather than just relaxing there.
I did that with your peanut butter cups.
You did.
You didn't
I didn't even see it. I didn't correct you.
Yeah,
that's right.
The problem.
Do I correct this or only correct if a paw leaves the bed itself? Sorry to sneak 2 questions in, but I'm hoping they're quick and easy.
That was kind of sneaky.
It was.
All right.
Kasie, I love you for that. That's awesome.
Kasie and the Sunshine Band. Okay. So, first, let's knock out the easy one, right? So,
paws off.
So, paws off. So, let's call HR. So, paws off, right?
Yeah, paws off the pet cot. And, like, anticipating.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So paws off the pet cot and anticipating, I would absolutely correct, right? So if a dog just orients himself on the placemat and the paws are a little bit off or even the head's a little bit off, I don't care about that stuff. I always recommend that everybody looks at flavor, intention, attitude. That's where it's all at. So it sounds like you know pretty clearly that your dog is
inching.
Right? There's all this intent, and the intent is gonna call me, are we going somewhere? What's happening now? What's going on? So that absolutely needs to get corrected, because that means your dog is not relaxed, not chilled out, and not committing to the moment and to the command. So absolutely, let's go after that and get him a couple firm corrections. You can just repeat the command place and just tap, and he should pull himself back. If he doesn't do it with the pressure right away, you can take a step towards him, use a little spatial pressure, and then tap the button and say place again. But if you use the right level on the e-collar, he should do it, do the work all on his own. Okay, and then I wrote a few notes. Okay, so as for place and when to push the button, it sounds like you might be teaching place a little bit different than us and then what I have in my video. You might be sending a dog to place.
Really?
if I'm not misunderstanding. She's saying she's talking about holding the button, and it sounds like
when I give the command, do I use continuous pressure until all 4 feet are on the place, which would make sense if you're walking them on.
Keep going.
Or only until he starts heading towards it and seems committed.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, but I couldn't tell if she was talking about sending the dog, because some folks send the dog to place, and there's nothing wrong with that. The way we teach place is that we chain commands together, so we chain typically recall. Especially here, we use multiple place commands, so I can't really say place because the dog's head would explode trying to figure out which one to go to. Mm-hmm. So if you do it the way we do it, then if you watch the place command video, it starts off the dog's on leash, and I walk the dog up to the placemat. I pause. I say place, simultaneously hit the button. I move my body. I guide the dog onto place. As soon as all 4 paws are on, the button goes off. I say good. Then I'm ready. When the dog is comfortable and stationary, then I say, let's go. I walk off, and I repeat this over and over and over again until the dog's got it. So if you're doing it the way we do it, which initially you walk up, pause, hold the button, give the command simultaneously, usher the dog on, button goes off, good, mark it, and off goes the dog. Now, if you're doing something different where you're actually just sending the dog to place, then that gets a little more challenging, and it's not the most challenging thing in the world, but it's just a little bit of a departure from the way we do it. So if your dog is pretty good at it, because if you're trying to just teach it, you have to teach it in small increments where you're a little bit away from the place command, place, press the button, and then guide the dog to it if the dog needs it, and then take a step back, place, and kind of just slowly send them in pieces like that. So if you're doing it that way, and I could be all wrong, but if you're doing it that way where you're actually sending the dog to place, then I wouldn't hold the button, just like I don't for recall. When I'm teaching a dog recall, I don't hold the button for the whole duration of the command. I hold the button until the dog commits to the exercise, right? So if the dog is facing the other way for recall, press the button, give leash guidance, the dog starts to move towards me, off the button, good boy, good boy, good boy. And if you're doing the same thing for place command and your dog's got a good handle on it, then I would say place, hold the button, your dog starts to move towards place, off the button, and I would be saying, good boy, and then as soon as he gets on there, good. And then you can reward or pet or do whatever you want to do. So that would be the distinction. If you're sending your dog to place from a distance, then don't hold it the whole time. I don't want to stem the dog the whole time. I feel that's a hard one for a dog. It makes the command really kind of a bummer if they're being stemmed for a really long duration like that, even at low levels. So I would rather... Hi, buddy. What's that?
Put him out.
Does he need to go?
He seems like he's a little restless.
No, he's just... Junior's always restless. So that would be the big distinction. Laura's going to do a little dog change in the middle of the shoot here. So that would be my recommendation, depending on which version you're doing. And if you are doing my version, just consult that. You can consult the free place command e-collar video, and it'll show you exactly what I just said, and probably more clearly than I just said.
So this is not a question, but it's a Rachel the Bear shout out.
Rachel the Bear is back. Is she in my campsite? Get out of my campsite.
She says, hi, Sean and Laura. Greetings from Rachel the Bear. Oh,
Rachel, I like you.
So I think every week we should do a GST shout out for me, and then a shout out from someone updating us. Mm-hmm. So if you either have a GSD shout out or just a general shout out, post it up.
Yeah, guys. Please keep us up to date on how this stuff's all working out for you. Yep. It's one thing for us to share this info, but it's a really, really valuable part of it for us to hear how things are going. That's what feeds us. That's what
it really does.
It really inspires us to get out here and
do more, and we're always thinking of new ideas of how to help you guys. So throw it out there.
Yeah, feed us.
So Rachel says, no question today, but wanted to send you a huge thank you for all the information you give out. Mm-hmm. Not many trainers do this, and certainly not to this extent.
Aww.
5 weeks ago, we added a third dog to our pack, a nervous, anxious, fear-aggressive rescue who came to us extremely physical fit, but mentally a mess. Thanks in huge part to all your videos, Q&As, lots and lots of structure, prong, and limited e-collar. I'm very excited about your upcoming DVD on e-collar training.
Yeah, me too.
So are we.
Rachel's going to be so off the hook.
So good. We're filming it next weekend, and we're like, it's crazy.
It might as well be Gone with the Wind. It is going to be an extreme shooting affair.
So Due to all those things, this new rescue is doing great. Yesterday morning, we had a pipe burst, and we have 20 plus huge fans, dehumidifiers, etc. all over the basement. And he, who was terrified of any machine or certainly anything blowing on him, walked through, around, and past all of those like a champ.
Wow.
Just wanted you to know that what you have given so freely has saved a life, possibly his mind, and certainly a couple of human minds.
Wow.
Thanks so much, and please let me know when the e-collar DVD is available.
Wow, and did she say what she did to get there?
Yeah, videos, Q&A, lots and lots of structure, prong collar, and limited e-collar training.
Wow. So cool. Guys, it works.
It works.
It works. It's simple stuff, but
Rachel,
it works.
you are the bomb.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah.
We really, really appreciate the check-in. Okay.
All right, what's next?
Question 8. This is from our girl,
Virginia.
Virginia Dixon.
I lost my accent with that. I used to have.
Virginia.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
So
Virginia shadowed with us.
Virginia's a T3 student.
Grad.
T3 grad. Yep. And
2-time shadow student.
2-time shadow student. The bomb, basically. Like, look up the bomb in the dictionary, and there's a picture of Virginia and nothing else.
And a bunch of asses, and her kicking it.
Yeah, it's just
yeah. Seriously, seriously. She left the corporate world, started her own biz, and is
she's killing it.
Just killing it, doing awesome work.
Doing great work with tons of dogs.
I don't know if I could be more proud of her.
Yeah.
So
she's the bomb.
She's really special.
She literally.
To us.
Yeah. Okay. Virginia. Hello, Sean and Laura. I posted this on the Rusty videos, but I thought I'd hit it here too in case it's good Q&A video material, which it is because we picked it. Thanks for all the in-depth, thoughtful, and valuable information you're constantly churning out. Aw.
Got it.
Both videos of Rusty are really nice sneak peeks of work in progress. Thanks.
Rusty was a dog that was here that we were sharing videos with in case anybody doesn't remember.
Yeah.
He was a GSD mix.
I, in fact, wanted to take him home with me.
Yeah.
On the scale... Okay, you mentioned paws on the feet as one of his manipulative gestures. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank the importance of this behavior on a manipulative, bratty, super entitled dog continuing to try to put his paw on your feet? Is there an 11 on that scale? Would your corrections be at a level to stop him from ever trying it again, or would you simply disagree with it each time to extinguish it more gradually? I'm working a client dog board and train whose context is... that the other more egregious behavior has drastically improved, immensely calmer on walks, no longer reactive to people, no longer frustrated by distractions or redirecting from frustration or corrections.
Yep.
His redirections were pretty intense and he would come up the leash for minutes at a time, so that hasn't happened for 9 days. I'm concerned, though...
Because one of those butts that were being kicked I told you about
was that dog.
Was probably that dog.
Yeah, saving that dog's life because Virginia is the bomb. I'm concerned about the paw on my foot is that it's a smoldering ember of bad attitude that I'm not fully extinguishing and giving the right fire-inducing conditions. And then, she's worried they'll have a 5-alarm once again. He does still try to place his paw on my foot. He gets corrected every time, but I've not done a high correction, more just disagreeing with it.
Yeah.
Am I doing a disservice to him by not correcting him high enough to eliminate the behavior altogether? Am I letting the door open for his brattiness to linger? Most importantly, will this be an important correction for his owner to give in a once and done style to eliminate any confusion on the dog's part?
I like the once and done.
Yes. Virginia is
on fire. Speaking.
She's like one of the smartest people I know.
Yeah.
I get weird when I talk to her. I'm like, yes, everything you say is correct. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a good question. So the reason that Virginia brought this up with the Rusty videos was because Rusty was this kind of pushy, bratty, but pretty sweet Shepherd Malinois mix that came in. And Rusty, I mentioned in the videos that one of his go-to moves was being on place and then, shimmying all around, like his rear would come off of it. It was all very purposeful stuff. He was very, very aware of what he was doing. And then he had a go-to move of you'd say place, and he'd orient himself, here's your foot, and then he'd go, yeah, like that, with his paw on your foot. And it's by no accident. It's all by design. And so with Rusty, he's bratty and he's pushy, but he was also pretty soft. He's not a dog that was coming up the leash or doing anything like that. So I definitely corrected him every time that happened. And I think you did as well.
Oh, yeah. Especially with me, because he would do it with me much more than he would with Sean.
Right, which is a typical thing. A lot of these dogs, either that have been in shelter situations or, even if they live with a female primary caretaker, will tend to push. This isn't a sexist statement, but they'll tend to push female energy more. They'll just sense more of the softer, more of the nurturing. And they'll give them a harder time. So it's always great to have Laura work with dogs to find out if we've got
Brittany.
any of that. And Brittany, to find out if we've got any of that. And Tony, if he's like dressed more femininely.
He
sometimes.
always dresses like
so, but
manly is what I was going to say, because he's in the concrete business. So stop making fun of my accent. Tony comes to work very he's manned out.
Yeah, he comes to work. Come on. We got a pour to do.
Cutting off all this out.
Okay. Anyways, so basically, what I want to say about this is that So here's the deal. It's all based on attitude, intention, and prior demeanor and behavior. Mm-hmm. So Rusty was doing bratty stuff, but on the bradometer, he was probably a 5 or a 6. This dog that you're talking about, Virginia, coming up the leash and doing things like that, that's a whole different story. That's a dog that's, we're talking about, on the bradometer, we're talking about like 8 or 9 or 10. That's really bad stuff. So I think your intuition about the paw coming on your foot being something like a burning or smoldering ember that might be a 5-alarm fire down the line, I think... not to overstate it, but I think it is I think it's symptomatic of attitude and choices. That paw's not going on there for no reason. It's going on there for a very specific reason. And people would say, well, the dog's just trying to engage with you. Now, once again, attitude, demeanor, and prior behavior would dictate whether that's right. So if Belle comes up to me, my dog, and puts her paw on me, I know Belle's not looking to push buttons or challenge me or be a brat or anything like that. She's looking for engagement. So all of that demeanor, attitude, and prior behavior determine how I feel about it. But this guy, what you're talking about, is getting into some pretty inappropriate behavior. And I know you've already got it on the run and things are looking a lot better. But yes, so the next time you get a paw on there like that, you let him have it, and you let him have it good. And I would say that the once and done concept is a pretty good one to go for. And then I would absolutely be looking for making sure that the owner gets the same result, because the owner will probably, even though you address it, the owner's likely to get it again because it's probably a pattern behavior with the owner.
Yeah.
So I would make sure it's
other contexts too. So you have to look at that paw, especially like Sean's saying with the prior behavior, like bad stuff on walks, redirecting on walks, anything like that. The owner's probably getting that paw and so much more that you may not even be seeing as a trainer. So you need to correct that paw and effectively correct all the other things. And then when you tell the owner about that paw, you need to talk about this is going to eradicate a lot of other choices, or at least make him think twice. I always, whenever a dog feels the need to put, or feels the audacity or has the audacity to put their teeth on a human, there's so many things that need to go down before that. If it's not in play, we're not talking about like mouthing, but a dog that redirects on a walk, that's a serious choice, and it's an attitude issue. So definitely every little thing you need to be, especially you, as again, like Sean said, female presence, you need to be correcting that at a level that he does not.
That creates a lot of future inhibition and also a lot of future respect. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about dominance or anything like that, but we are talking about respect. And respect is a major player in this game with dogs, and dogs that feel, especially stronger dogs, stronger state of mind. We're talking about shepherds. These dogs are built to be, looking for strong handlers for them to actually defer to. And if you don't come with the goods, it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to listen or to respect you. It makes a lot of sense for them to push until you give them adequate pushback to where the dog goes, oh, cool, got it. Now you're worthy of me actually listening to. So, yeah, let them have it for that stuff, and then make sure that your owner does the same thing so they get the same respect and same leverage that you're getting as well. And it should be good.
Yeah. Okay.
Hercules.
We love you.
See you, Virginia.
Okay. Question number 9.
Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to, I put in here, Krista, Shane, Kim, Peter, Artem. There were so many good questions. We could barely pick. I almost had to do like a roulette wheel because I was like, I don't know what to choose. So
Artem didn't make this one.
Artem, I know.
Wow, what are we gonna do?
But we had so many good ones. Here. I wish we could answer them all. Please, if you put a question up there, please put it up there next week because, you know, if I see it more than once, I definitely give it precedence because we know that it's a pressing thing.
Either that or we ban and delete you.
Or you're gone.
Because
you annoy me.
Creeping around too much.
No. So please, you guys, this was a great week. Lots and lots of questions. Okay, question 9. This is from Niels Cartensen on Instagram. He says, in Denmark where I live, both prong and e-collar are illegal. How can I use your methods without these tools?
Oh.
Have fun answering that one.
What I would suggest for you is kind of what the monks of New Skete used for most of their stuff. So until recently, the monks of New Skete are now using primarily Educator Mini e-collars and these prongs and stuff like that. But for a long time, they used dominant dog collars, which are like fitted slip leads, or fitted slip collars, I should say. So the cool thing about a dominant dog collar, they cost a little bit a dough. Laura, what's the retail price? Do you know?
Probably like $40.
Whew, 40, okay.
35, 40?
35, 40. I didn't realize they were even that expensive. But the cool thing is they're sized. So you can buy them, I think, in 1 or 2 inch increments. And then you size them for your specific dog with the goal. Someone is dumpster diving off screen. So what you do is you size them to where the goal is that it sits really high up on your dog's neck. Laura, could you grab me a dominant dog collar out of the drawer? I think there's one in there right there. Let me show it to you real quick. And it's a really cool device. And the difference between like a choke chain or a regular slip lead, all these things have to go over the dog's head. And I mean, you can technically take an English slip lead and cinch it up a little bit. Oh, this is a really small one, but it'll work good for our purposes. So here's the dominant dog collar, right? Here's what it looks like. Hopefully you can see, get this whole thing on here, right? These are all the pieces of it. This is a small one. So basically what happens is the cool thing is because it's not fixed, it doesn't have to go over your dog's head. Mm-hmm. If it goes over your dog's head, then that means it's going to be way too big and it's not going to sit at the top of the neck. But what we do with this is we make sure it's the right size, and then we clip this to here, like that. Let me see if I can do this right. Clip this to here, and then would you put a hand through here so you be the little doggy? And then your leash goes right here and does this, right? And then if everything fits just right, Laura's hand's not quite big enough, but if everything, there she goes, now she's a bigger dog. So if everything fits just right, then it sits right here at the top of your dog's neck, right behind the ears, right under the jaw, and then you don't have to use a lot of pressure to actually, thank you, my dear, you don't have to use a lot of pressure to have the dog be responsive. Now, it'll be a different response than a prong collar, but it's still a valuable response and can work for a lot of different stuff. So you can still give little pops on these and have them be effective. The trick is because it sits so high up on the neck. So it's really imperative that you get the right fit for this. And they're really good even like for reactive dogs and things like that, because they call them dominant dog collars because they take drive out of dogs. So if you've got any problems with your dog, coming up the leash or being overly reactive, you can actually lift up and apply some pressure with the dominant dog collar, and it really slows the dog down. So I'd say my first suggestion for you, and it's hard, man, I'll be really honest, that not being able to use prong collar and e-collars is a disadvantage. There's a reason they're so widely used, and that's because for me, honestly, because they really empower clients. They empower everyday people to get the same results that...
Okay, continue.
Guys, we had a little little glitch there. The iPad shut down on us because we've been blah, blah, blahing too much. Mm-hmm. So anyways, okay, so Niels... So I was just talking about the dominant dog collar, and I was saying that yeah, man, it's a challenge. It's a challenge not being able to use those kind of tools, and there's a reason we use them, and it's because they're really empowering. So that said, you're just going to have to work a little bit harder to get what you want. So it doesn't mean you can't do it. I was just doing a phone consult with a lovely gentleman named Michael in Germany who's working on his dog, and he's allowed to use a prong collar, but he's not allowed to use an e-collar. So we were talking about different game plans and ways that he's managed to get around that and train his dog without an e-collar. So there's always ways to do it. It's just, it might be a little more tough. If you got a dog that pulls a lot on leash, dominant dog collar, it's great, but it's going to be challenging.
Yeah.
The pressure that this shares, the dog's not going to care about as much. So you'll have to work your butt off a little bit more.
Okay, we've got question 10.
Those are really good.
I know, I told you.
Between the peanut butter cups
Oh,
this has been a fantastic
Trader
Q&A
Joe's
Saturday.
Bomb. Okay. Hi, Laura and Sean. You two are adorable. Aww.
Thank you so much.
This is question 10. This is from Brittany Van Harlow on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So
Our Insta peeps are coming through.
I know. Brittany says, so I've been training a client that's 98 pounds pit that was reactive to everything. It got to the point that he was fighting with the other dogs in the house. Mm-hmm. Since they came to me, I've taken him off the harness and fully e-collar trained him.
Nice work.
I know. He's clipped to a prong and listens completely to the e-collar. Mm-hmm. He now no longer pulls towards dogs, cats, people, etc. He has perfected the come command, leave it, let's go, and place command. Mm-hmm. My question is, at what point would you reintroduce him to other dogs and other pups in the house? Thanks.
This is a really good question.
Yes, it is.
I'm curious where Brittany's located. She should let us know in comments.
Let us know where you're at. Yeah.
Always looking for trainers that are doing good work and doing balanced training work that can really help people. Okay. So 98-pound pit, good Lord, that's a big dog. Awesome that you fully e-collar trained him, got him off the harness. It sounds like you've made some good strides, state of mind, impulse control, and just overall behavior-wise. So that's super awesome, which means now you've got some leverage and some real possibility for some better stuff. The problem is how many fights were going on, how much bad blood has been created, how much grudge kind of stuff do we have going on. And I'm not privy enough to that info to know how to move forward. So with me, I just move really slow with any fighting dogs. I would muzzle condition him. If you don't already have a muzzle condition, I'd muzzle condition him so you can get a nice, clear, accurate response about how the dog feels. If you put him in on a muzzle and just throw him in around the dogs, chances are he's going to be even more stressed and will likely make a bad choice. So I'd muzzle condition him, and it should only take you a week or so to get him rocking and rolling with that. And then you've got a much higher level of safety. Now, of course, it depends on how the other dogs are. If the other dogs are problematic, then you got your hands full. So I don't do biting dogs, and I don't do heavy duty dogs except for in board and train. Mm-hmm. So, which affords me a lot of ability to control the situation and reintroduce fighting dogs in a very slow, methodical fashion with me watching every moment to make sure everything's looking good. What I typically do is I get all the dogs in a good state of mind independently, and then I start bringing the dogs around and just working on existent stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not looking like, hey, go romp with each other. I'm looking at, go be in place and you go be in place. Now I want to walk the other one around while you're in place, and then I'll reverse that. Really trying to get the dogs comfortable, but I'm also really trying to get a feel for how do they feel about each other. So is there a ton of tension? Is there a ton of sideways glances? Is can you feel it in the room that things are getting rough? Those are all things, all pieces of information, piece of your puzzle that you're going to have to really look at. And I can't tell you, it's such a feel thing about whenever people ask me, like, when do I reintroduce dogs? It's such a slow, methodical process with all intuition and feel about when I'm seeing what I like from the dog and when I feel like I'm ready to actually start to take more chances with it. So it's not something I can give you a real concrete one, but the muzzle conditioning obviously affords you a high level of safety, and then you can bring the dog around. Now, for me, and it depends how everybody wants to work, but for me, if I'm dealing with fighting dogs or dog aggression stuff, I'm also going to be prepared to correct. So the state of mind work and the foundation work and all that stuff that's so essential to creating a mindset that's able to deal with volatile things in a more healthy fashion, or life-giving, more challenges or excitement or other dogs. That's all great, but at some point you may need a higher level of aversive or correction to actually inhibit behavior if some of that stuff is still lingering. So you do all this foundation work and then you bring the dogs around, and then all of a sudden you see like, hey, there's still lingering tension. There's still problems. So, we've got this dog Milo here who's attacked, gone after six times.
Yeah.
And so I have him set up on muzzle. He's muzzle conditioned and he's comfortable on the muzzle. And we've done lots of foundation work. The dog's been trained, a ton prior to coming here. So, but the training was really high energy stuff. So we've really worked on just moving him into a slower, more calm, relaxed gear. And then we put him around dogs. And if we get bad choices, then I correct that stuff, and I correct it really firmly, because I want to make sure that Milo or any other dog that I'm working with, I create a future inhibition about that choice. So you can create the foundation work, and that'll give you a certain amount of leverage. And with some dogs, it'll be enough. And with some dogs with more bad blood, more grudge, more or just more tenacity or intensity, you're going to need a little more leverage. So you could use a dominant dog collar. It's like the dominant dog collar episode. So you could use a dominant dog collar on him, which is great because it just takes drive out of a dog. So you could have him on that, and you could start doing existence work around the dogs, and always have him on a long line or a leash, muzzle on. And then as soon as he goes, then it's not always the prettiest stuff, but you can add some pressure with a dominant dog collar and lift up, and you can really take that drive out of the dog and make that dog go, wow, that choice I just made is a really bad choice, and I don't like the consequences from it. So that's something that you can look at if you're ready to do some work that's this is getting into like a little bit more complex, challenging and dicey stuff that I'm not a big fan of giving recommendations on this kind of stuff over the internet or over like this without seeing the dog. But those are things that conceptually I would be looking to do. Foundation, mindset, get them solid, and then start putting the dogs together in a very safe way where everybody's muzzled, and then corrections and consequences for bad choices, and then start to cultivate some real clear, like, do this and it's really great, do this and it's really bad, and let's start moving you in a direction of just doing really good stuff. Anything to add to that?
No, I mean, that's a tough one. We talked about this before we even started this, that's a really tough question, because that's really a feel thing, and you have to really have experience with this, which I'm sure you do, but there is no kind of like set exact thing with these situations. You just have to know when you feel comfortable doing that.
And the muzzle, luckily the muzzle stuff affords you some latitude if there's a mistake, or if you misread the dog, or if things are a little bit more dicey than you anticipate. So then you've got some latitude with that, and some cushion in case things go south. That's the best way and the safest way to work it. But if all the dogs are muzzle conditioned, there's a good chance you won't get accurate representation of how they really feel, and then so it might be hard to get a good read on how things are looking. So that's kind of it. It's a complex one. Like I said, I'm leery of diving too deep into it. And for a lot of dogs, you don't need to do, aversive stuff. You just get the mind right. But for some dogs, you definitely need to share higher consequences for, basically we're talking about like life and death kind of choices, things where dogs can kill. I mean, you're talking about a 98-pound pit. You're talking about dogs can kill other dogs. Yeah. So I'm okay with that dog being uncomfortable in order to create better lifestyle and more safety. That all said, you can also find yourself in situations where it's virtually impossible to get harmony going on in the house. And that's something you need to be really conscious and really honest with yourself about. Because if you put too much pressure on yourself to make it right, you might be able to get the dogs to be okay on your own. And then when they go back in the house with all the triggers, all the volatility that typical owners have, not being as aware of structure and rules and consequences and missing little moments and giving too much affection and too much excitement. And then you find yourself with a dog fight going on and you're like, but they were great with me. And that's a real typical situation. They're great with me. That's because you're an expert. They go home and they're not so great. And that's why creating future inhibitions can be really helpful to buy you some insurance with that. But that's more challenging work. So I'm going to leave you on that. I'm going to hope that you're going to do everything really safely, really carefully, really slowly, lots of muzzles, and check in with us if you need some more help with it. And good luck with all that stuff. 98-pound pit, put a saddle on that guy and like ride him around and, see if you can keep him in line that way. So, all right.
Thank you.
Do we want to announce that it's going to podcast?
Go for it. It's already done.
I don't know much about it, so I'm going to hand it off to you.
On podcast, the Good Dog Training's Q&A Saturday. So if you
Where do you find it? Where do you go?
You will go to iTunes and go to the podcast section and just search the Good Dog Training Q&A Saturday, or just the Good Dog Training, and it should come up. So I'm publishing all the episodes, so we should be like up to 17, and they're totally free. You guys can take them.
Super exciting because we've been getting tons of requests. People saying, hey, we really love what you guys are doing, but we want to take you with us, and I can't watch the video. I need to do it while I'm cleaning the house, or I need to do it while I'm jogging or something like that. So it's pretty exciting. We've never had a podcast before, and I'm really happy that people are wanting it. Yeah. So we're happy to put it out for you guys and let us know what you think, and hopefully you guys get to enjoy it.
And we have
Question of the week. Last week's question with Rosie the Riveter was riveting. Like that. Lots of people had good stuff to say. A lot of people knew who Rosie was. Surprising number of people knew, like Laura knew about the image, but didn't know the name of Rosie the Riveter. Yeah. So it probably speaks to me spending way too much time with the History Channel. When the History Channel first came out, it was like the World War II channel. Yeah. And so I spent some formative years locked in front of that. I don't really watch TV anymore, but I certainly did back then. So maybe that's why I know so much of that stuff that's maybe not as important. Okay, so question of the week. I'm going to let you list it off because you're going to know the details even better. But this will be a really good, challenging one. Only the really deep ones will.
The deep Googlers will find.
Yep.
Okay. What miniseries did Laura, this one,
that girl,
win a Hollywood Reporter Young Star Award for Best Actress in a Miniseries in 1995?
Wow. That's serious stuff.
That's a serious one.
How old were you?
I was 10.
Wow.
Or I was 11 by the time.
So
that was
That's
cute.
Great.
Yeah.
I've seen the role. It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah.
And the other half of the question is, what song did Sean,
this guy,
play on that won a Grammy in 2013? Play drums on that won a Grammy in 2013.
I'm a drummer too, in case folks don't know.
In case you guys don't know.
What?
Yeah.
How do you end up on that? Was he training one of the guy's dogs?
No. So those are the two questions. Get to Googling.
Those are challenging ones.
They might be kind of hard. Mine might be a little bit easier.
Maybe.
Because I have less miniseries.
But they're more challenging. We thought we'd have a little fun with it, and also reveal a little bit more about ourselves. So you guys know that we're multifaceted and have had other prior stuff going on that might be
lives
interesting.
Besides
these scoundrels, Hercules. So check it out. If you get one of them, awesome. If you get both, I don't know. We'll have to think about.
Yeah, we'll have to
give any
prizes or something. Maybe stickers down the way.
Yeah.
Q&A Saturday stickers. Everyone will just throw them away.
They're all, thanks, that's great.
They're like, great.
I don't want everyone again. Why do I get this junk mail from Sean and Laura? Anyways, guys, thank you so much. This is episode, what, 19?
19, guys.
And it might be 19 days long. It's excruciatingly long. Sorry, guys.
We're going to cut this one down.
Yeah, but I was just rambling tonight.
Ramblicious.
Yeah.
Right,
I had a lot on my mind. I'm rambling again, right?
We're doing it.
This is how this whole thing starts. Anyways, guys, love you. See you. Bye.
Bye.